I've been trying to do a morning just chatting stream, but just haven't had the time. Chezi and Ben have a Maimonides thing starting in like half an hour, 45 minutes. Luke streamed this morning, didn't see it. Um, Grizz, hey, Sandy, um, streamed, didn't see that either. But I came on to see if there's people interested in talking at all. If not, I am going to continue looking at the internet. It has been a while, honestly. I have both been very busy and having lots of stuff to do. I don't know if I'm going to do my Bible. I should do my Bible this evening. There's a lot of stuff I have to get done, and I haven't been getting done. And there's a lot of people I might have on the channel. Beyond God, if you want to jump on, we can have a discussion about this stuff. Honestly, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I don't know what of the lots of stuff people want to talk about. And we had a little field trip to Antonia says, give us the goods, bad and ugly of Trump's first day for us busy people. Honestly, I think it's better if people just move on with their lives and just, hey, Luke. Yeah, I saw like it was one stream after the other, and I just figured I would see if people are interested. The one thing, so we did a little field trip to the Reagan Library because the Dead Sea Scrolls are there. And so Trey has a friend who is actually a scholar of Philo of Alexandria. And he came with us, which was very interesting, and I am hoping to get him to come on the channel for us to talk with. There was somebody else there who I won't talk about too much, who doesn't really come on streams and stuff, who was incredibly nice and picked up the check for the entire table at dinner, which was ridiculously nice of him. But this is the second time he's done something like that. Yeah, I won't talk about, I won't embarrass him too much, but I bet you don't know who it is, Luke. In fact, I don't see how you could know who it is. We had yeah, I don't think there is any possible way that you know this person. We had about 8 of us. Yeah, 8 of us there. It was a lot of fun. We actually got to see one of the scrolls. So 4QMMT, which I talk about a lot. So like the main exhibits, they had a kind of prayer book from Qumran with the 10 Commandments on it. They had one of the 4QMMT scrolls. So to explain, 4QMMT is a reconstructed document which we had no idea about before the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so there are many fragments of many copies of this one document um, in the scrolls. And so one of the fragments of one of the documents was there, which was very exciting to see. I mean, it was for me, for QMMT, I think is just obviously after all of the Proto-Masoretic texts, it's the most what you call it. What are you guys talking about? Conspiracy theories. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, I have a fun idea. In the future, maybe a couple of months from now, you could do a conspiracy theories destroyed with facts and logic stream, and then I would appear. If you want, Yon God, if you want to do a stream, I will call it whatever you want, other than something patently offensive. And you have to try really hard to be offensive for me. Conspiracy relies on facts, on logic and facts, but fills in the missing parts by assuming a rationality thesis. That's part of it. Who's right, Wes Hoff? I have no idea who that is. Or Alex O'Connor or Gavin? Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Skeptic. So Rabbi Burton, who is somebody I am incredibly excited to possibly have on our channel. So he is a rabbi. Like I did a kind of a little stream talking about him. Like rabbis of his caliber do not engage with the internet very often, but he is actually very active on Twitter and has a YouTube channel. And I was very surprised when somebody mentioned him to me. I went and looked at his Twitter, and he's pretty active, and he's being followed by Mathieu Pajot. And then I looked into him, and I saw, like, oh my God, this is a very, very prominent rabbi. So I have been talking with him, and it is a possibility that in the future, Rabbi Burton will come on to the channel. And and Substack, yeah, he has. Oh, or are you talking about something else? But yes, he does have a Substack. He has a YouTube channel which is quite active, actually. He's been incredibly gracious in responding to my messages. And yes, as Kalonima says. Anyway, he asked, he's trying to like understand the atheists, and he posted something about like, I'm looking into this Sam Harris guy. He doesn't seem very serious. Like, are there any serious atheists out there? Like intellectually worthwhile atheists out there? And I responded to him, well, Alex O'Connor for now, but I don't think he's going to be an atheist for long. So you reminded me of that. Or Gavin Ortland, he seems like a pretty nice guy for a Calvinist, but honestly, I just think Calvinism poisons your soul in such a way that it makes it very hard for you to engage very well with the rest of the world, despite being a very nice person. Assuming a rationality thesis is better than an irrationality thesis, I agree with that, Young God. Clearly it is. Even Mark is agreeing. Mark, Young God, and I are agreeing. The world, you know the Messiah is about to come. Otherwise, there would be no need for conspiracy filling in the missing parts. Remember, the conspiracy theorists only notice the conspiracy performed by others. Conspiracies are rare because they are too hard to control. This is true. Although I don't know how rare they are. Patterns, however, are inevitable. This is also true. So they look like conspiracies, but only if you assume control and rationality and intent. Okay, I am not going to read tons and tons of text. If somebody wants to jump on, they can. Have people fantasize about mind control, prove them wrong, apply their strategies later since more proof is needed. No idea what you're talking about. But we like your reading voice, Jacob. You lie. You lie like a dog. I have a terrible voice, and you know it, young dog. You know it. Gavin is not going to be talking to Sam, from everything I know. Honestly, I have had no time or interest in a lot of the stuff on YouTube, partially because Sandy, you're just too nice. Andrew Tournay, should I let him on my channel? Probably not, but might do it anyway.
We've got nothing better to do.
Apparently not. Apparently not. Are you where I think you are, or you're in a different place?
Where do you think I am?
I'm thinking you're in Pico Robertson, but you might be in Irvine. You're in Irvine?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, well, Andrew, like, I don't know what to tell ya.
I don't know what you're gonna say. So I just thought we post.
Okay, so you jumped on. What are we talking about? What are you eating?
Tortellini.
Tortellini. Where'd you get tortellini?
Some guy bought it.
We're both sitting here eating. I'm guessing people hate us both. But we can have Jacob ASMR.
Let's go.
If Alex O'Connor passes for decent, man, this is sad. Yeah, atheism is really gone. I did a whole breakdown of part of his Pajot conversation. He's pretty stupid. I don't think he's stupid. I think he's young, and exploring. Like, if he had spent his life studying worthwhile things, but he started from a lot of stupid assumptions he's having to undo. And yes, fig. How did you know I am eating fig bars? Yon God, I am addicted to fig bars. I am trying to finish all of these fig bars I bought so that I can stop eating them, because I know there's only one way through this valley of the shadow of death, which is through it. And yes, the fruit in the garden definitely was not an apple. Actually, I think the general consensus about among rabbis is that it was bread.
The rabbis say.
And that eventually, when we return to the Garden of Eden, we will be able to pick loaves of bread from the trees. I hope there's a good sourdough. Explorationality presents as stupid to some. I have no idea what you're trying to say. Fig bars, are they square cookie style? This is one of the fig bars that I am failing not to eat. Yeah, grapes. There are other candidates as well, but I think number one is actually bread. Fig is called with the root for rare in some dialects. What is the Hebrew word for fig? Taneh? I forget how you say fig in Hebrew. Google, help. How do you say fig in Hebrew? Fig. Te'ena. Te'ena. I was almost right. The bread being picked from trees has to do with the curse of Adam to work after he ate from the Eitz Hada'as. That is the tree of knowledge. And Adam does speak Arabic, so before that, everything was prepared for him and it didn't have to work. What are you doing today, Andrew?
You know, on my agenda for this week is to go around to like a bunch of different whatever contractors and give my resume and yada yada yada. But I also have like a WECA course that I'm behind on, so I might just stay home and do that and instead procrastinate a little.
Yeah, part of the reason I don't like you being in Irvine so much. Cal? Do I want to get into this? Calonimus, how could you? Can anyone explain which heresy it is where the snake and Eve had sex? I am not aware that that the Christians ever named it a heresy, although Marcionites, well, the Gnostics did speak of it, but there are esoteric interpretations within Judaism which basically say the same thing. And I would have expected Colonimus to have known that.
The Gnostics. We should meet them. They're in San Diego.
They are all over the place.
I see Gnostics everywhere.
I don't know why you are so convinced that the Mandaeans are somehow unique among Gnostic sects.
They go back to John the Baptist, man.
But they don't.
How do you know that? They have a weird part in the Ginza Rabbah where John the Baptist accuses Jesus of loosing the Sabbath. And like these people don't believe in the Sabbath. So
you can see that they're not very logical people.
Yeah, pretty much.
So why are you bothering with them?
Because like I wanna do it for them. I wanna I wanna like take the sparks of their like confused religion and elevate them or something.
Anyway, so Mark says, tell me more about Marcion. Marcion was an early heretic in the church who believed everything Martin Luther did, basically. um, he was, in a sense, I mean, kind of Gnostic in that he believed that the God of the Old Testament was the bad God, and Jesus came to save man from the evil God of the Jews. Anyway, he was soundly condemned by all Christians alike, and has continued to be. And anytime somebody starts distinguishing between the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament, you can tell that they are being affected by Marcionism. And Marcionism has been a problem within the church, especially over the past 200 years, but it's a perennial problem among Christians. What is the basis for this idea that Eve had sex with a snake? The idea is there's a lot of, in the Hebrew, there is a lot of sexual, a lot of the vocabulary is very explicitly sexual. And so the interpretation that that the snake, not that she necessarily did have sex with the snake, but that the snake was attempting to seduce her, is pretty. I mean, it's implied in the language. It's. I would say it's actually not. I mean, Kalonymus can agree or disagree, but he knows the Hebrew. But it's not a. It's not a huge leap. Adam is just plain wrong. It's the words used in Genesis in the second creation story definitely has sexual innuendo within it. Of course, we wouldn't say that this is like literal, but there is an implication there. Well, sure, but it wasn't a snake back then, and this is a bit strange to believe. Well, yeah, I mean, the serpent in the garden, like, speaks, walks, like, it's not, yeah, like, if yeah, so okay, well, I read it in a book that I claim is not a book because it says rough draft and is much likely and is written much like Luke talks unintelligibly. Yeah, people who try to get into esoteric interpretations of Genesis, this tends to be one of the first things they talk about, whereas in Jewish circles, this is one of the esoteric interpretations we try not to talk about, but mostly because people understand it quite literally. How many birds do you have?
Oh, we've got a cage with 2 birds.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a lot more birds than 2. They're loud birds.
They've been stuck in that cage forever.
Kirk probably has school again. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Deception and seduction are related. Stay in school, kids.
Man,
Woman.
that Philo guy was cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping to have him on my channel. I'm hoping to convince him to start his own channel. I think he could do really well.
I don't think
Um,
he's going to. You know, Jacob, the next step is just to have a conversation with him on your channel. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I invited him on my channel.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I think the next step is to have him at Estuary.
Yeah, I think he's coming on Tuesday.
Oh, that's good. All right, I'll be there.
Who invited you?
I invited myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he's planning on coming on Tuesday. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize they would have one of the 4Q MMT documents there.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find any information on what's going to happen when they said they're going to have more scrolls? Like, what are the other scrolls that they're going to be having?
No, I didn't find anything. But I'm going back there in February, so I'll ask.
You're going back in February, and you'll ask.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to all the cops who were supposed to come?
One of them decided to watch the Eagles game. Another one is like he just passed the bar and became a lawyer, so you know he's
Mazel tov.
yeah, he's doing lawyer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I invited the lawyer. The Eagles game guy is going to Egypt, so he can't make the February date. I invited the lawyer to the February date. I don't know if that's gonna work for him. We'll see.
Did they buy tickets or no?
Yeah, both of them did.
They bought tickets and they didn't show up.
Yeah, I gave the Eagles guy his ticket to Marcus, and then the lawyer guy we'll see.
Michael, one of my favorite Michaels. If what the news I heard about you was is true, which I'm not going to talk about publicly, but I heard from someone that you were taking on a particular project, which makes me think you are a good man, Charlie Brown. But I won't announce it unless you are going to announce it. But thank you for being a good man that you are. Second, how do you see the relation between Elohim and Seraph? Huh. I mean, I generally wouldn't say there's much of a relationship at all, but both Elohim and Seraph refer to divine figures in the whatchamacallit sense. Oh, hey, Finer Print is here. Hey, Finer Print. I just met him today. Apparently, he speaks Hebrew, and he's married to a Catholic. And we bonded over laughing at the Christians over their inscriptions over Jesus. Because apparently, he went to church with his wife, and they had they had the entire Yeshua Notzri Melech Yehudaim over the altar, but the Hebrew was backwards. So he was apparently laughing at it in his seat, which is funny. That is the project. Yes. So apparently Michael is trying to take over the project of this-little-corner.com, which makes him a good man.
Does Michael know how to code and whatnot? Smart man.
He is a smart man. Michael is a good man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might move it to petersonsphere.com. I would agree with that, but no, it just bothered me. It's one of the things that really bothers me about Protestants letting good things die, which they do.
Yeah.
Kirk is here. It's a snow day in Mississippi. That sounds like a thing of doom and Armageddon. Is truth considered an antidote to seduction? Antidote to seduction? I'm not sure I would say that.
It helps.
It can, maybe. What else are people saying? Jan God is being silly. I wonder, is the Rambam study with Chezi still going to happen? Yeah, it's supposed to be in 10 minutes. I'm guessing it's going to happen. I will stop interrupting when they start their countdown. Do they do countdowns? I think they do countdowns. They need to do countdowns. Killing good things before they happen, scuttling anything that looks like success because it judges them. You sound a little cranky this morning, Mark. Just a tiny bit. Mark, and this is what I like about Mark. He's not accommodating.
I like how Mark has never criticized me because I'm just such a great person.
Honestly, I think we just need to move on from talking about Protestantism. I've been talking to this one Protestant guy who might come on my because he's a church historian, and he on Twitter he made a ruckus by asking, "Hey, why are all these Protestants becoming Eastern Orthodox? And who's doing something about that?" And I asked him to come on. We have the saintly Michael himself with his puppy.
Yeah, we do. There's a puppy. Oh.
How you doing, Michael?
Not as good as this guy.
Oh, he's a cutie.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I could use some help understanding some of the context for that project.
Okay.
So I tinkered around on it a little bit in the early days, like actually visiting what Ryan had set up and seeing what was there, but I don't remember that well how it was structured. So like I've got the repository, I've made contact with Ryan, he's willing to hand over the domain and all that. In the repo, it has a lot of the data that was on the website directly. It's a little bit of a complicated project. It's involving like a couple different technologies. You've got some like Windows-based C#.NET like architecture things going on. You have Python. This is going to mean things to some people, but here's the bigger struggle that I have, because I could actually stand up a not Windows environment, like a more most web stuff is based on Unix architecture, Linux based stuff. So that's where I specialize. And I
I
could
don't think the vast majority of people who use it care at all what the architecture is.
no, they don't. So then the challenge that I've got is, okay, what was it being used for primarily? Because I might be able to restore some of that faster than trying to get his architecture back up and running. Because
Okay.
he had, yeah.
So originally, I mean, the website, how it's not right now, and it used to be, was you went there and it just looked like a almost basically Google search prompt,
Mhm.
and you started typing, and it would go through the transcripts of all the listed channels and come up with relevant results,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
it would give you a rank ordered result.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where he was using a tool called Elasticsearch to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people who use it the most are Grim Grizz's Reapers.
Okay.
So they, especially because like when they're trying to find, either you're trying to find something you saw and you don't remember where it was, or you're trying to find people using similar words to make clips and stuff, or you're trying to find, the only times I really used it is since my Just Chatting streams, like they're just chatting, they don't even have a name and stuff. Like if I had a conversation on a Just Chatting stream with someone, trying to find it is basically completely impossible without thislittlecorner.com. But a lot of people also, just they want to, like, there can be things that we just talk about a lot, and they want to maybe find the earliest place someone talked about it or who's talking about it now, right? And so the way he had it set up was once you did a search, then you could filter by the channels you wanted, and he had a listing of the channels, right? And just the fact that it was a search engine, it was basically a transcript search engine for channels that Ryan felt was part of what I now like to call the Jordan Peterson sphere. I don't actually know that there was a full listing, and what I really liked about it was it kind of gave some definition to, okay, these are channels that are part of our thing, right?
Yep.
And
okay.
yeah.
So was it scraping transcripts from like everything Paul did and then a handful of other channels, like every single video transcripts for all of it? Okay. It didn't look heavy enough to be getting transcripts from all of it, but hey, maybe it is.
I'm pretty sure he was grabbing transcripts from every channel that he had listed.
Yeah. And hey, folks in chat, I'm watching comments here too, because in the, like, what I might not do is I might not use the exact same tech stack, but I might be able to take bits and pieces of it and then throw something up together in a tech stack that I prefer, that's a little easier to manage. So I might be able to figure out all the channels that he was scraping. I might be able to figure that out. I can set up something that ought to, part of it was being done with AI, like you had to connect it to ChatGPT, like Model 3, something like earlier version of ChatGPT over the API. So you would send, scrape his transcript from it, and then it was using both ChatGPT and Elasticsearch in order to get those results, like when you're doing that searching. Well, outside of scraping transcripts and then being able to search terms and then it go through those transcripts, Mark, I saw your comment about timestamps. Yes, React is used for part of it. maybe you were referencing something else. Were there any were there any other features? I think I saw like a glossary thing that had kind of been set up like for terms
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know if he did the glossary like manually
Hmm.
of terms that we tend to use. I think that was one of his ways of like introducing to people to what it could do, which is like, here, these are terms that we generally use, and if you click on it, it'll pull up like, here, these are all the videos that talk about God 1 and God 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how difficult this would be, but just like even being able to maybe track people's appearances on different channels. Like if you're looking for the time, I don't know, Luke,
Mhm.
Jacob, and Sam talked about universalism. Didn't actually happen, and which channel it was, that something like that would be absolutely awesome. But I don't know what's possible. I just know that. Oh, Sam is here. I
I
have to
disagree. I think it'll make the digital footprint a little too real. You know what I mean?
I think being able to keep track of personalities would be nice if that's a possibility. I don't know if it is.
There's probably a way to do that. It'd be stretching the extent of my experience with AI. Like like what it would have to, you know how like when you're watching something on like Amazon Prime and it has like insights of who's on the screen and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there'd probably be a way to try to get those things to associate, but oof, it's a gnarly job. But transcripts, timestamps, being able to search that text, being able to set the glossary back up, that's stuff that's definitely possible. I got to take a look at like what the probably the cost for the server load to be checking those videos all the time, scraping them, transcripting them. But I think I can get some of that stood up for pretty cheap. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's an incredibly useful thing. Oh, Ryan's here. Hey, Ryan,
Hey,
talking about
Ryan,
you.
beautiful.
Okay, so Ben says they're not starting for another 15 minutes, so we can keep on going for a little bit. Part of the appeal of these live streams is that I can trust it's too hard for the wrong people to find it. Well, I mean, who are the wrong people, and why would you? I don't know. Yeah. Um, and I have to say, part of the thing is, I mean, I think our community should be willing to stand up and make it so that you're not, in addition to doing all the work, also paying for all of the costs. I think that's pretty ridiculous of us. And I think it was pretty ridiculous of us to be as appreciative as we were of Ryan for his incredible contributions, which was what I was pissed off about, and why I was so happy when he said you were looking into trying to redo the project. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like it really, really pissed me off to see Ryan do something that was this awesome, have to pay for it, and get not be acknowledged for it the way he wasn't. To Mark's point, this project is extremely small and would cost basically nothing if re-architected a bit.
Yeah, I tend to agree on that. There's the only cost off the top of my head. I mean, you have like basic hosting, which you could do pretty cheaply on some cloud services, or maybe even like a simple little VPS if I wanted to architect it that way, and then fairly low cost for any of the like tokens that are being used in order to deal with ChatGPT. Like none of that's it's pretty cheap, right? Like I don't think that it would cost a whole lot. Okay, so I've got two things on the top of my head feature wise. Ryan, I'd love to talk more on restoring something because even Web Archive doesn't have like captures of how things used to look. And I could go a little bit further and like stand it up in a Windows environment. I'm just being lazy about it. I don't want to have to deal with Windows architecture if I don't have to. So 2 features: transcripts, right? Handful of channels. Get that rolling. Get those transcripts indexable and searchable with Elasticsearch, what have you. And then and Ryan, maybe you could clarify whether that glossary was manual or you were using tooling to somehow extract terms and set up that glossary. I don't know how manual that was.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are walking into stuff I know very little about, but
Yeah, well, we're
That's-
speaking in tongues in a different way.
that's the good thing about not being Protestants. Different people can know different amounts about different things.
It's true.
Um,
Same
yeah.
page, Mark. Same page.
Honestly, I would feel more comfortable personally contributing than spending. I have spent literally zero of the money that has been contributed to Fountain of Comfort so far. And I've been paying for everything out of my pocket, and we've only raised about $3,000. But yeah, until we have the man.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, howdy, sir.
Hello. I haven't been listening long. Gabe texted me just saying, "Hey, they're talking about your stuff." The glossary was entirely manual because my original vision when I created that thing was like I wanted to make, and this was like shortly before AI became like a big pop
Yes.
culture thing.
Yeah.
I
It looked like
started-
early ChatGPT stuff.
Yeah, like I was thinking about what would it be like to mind map all of the content of this stuff, and I think I was thinking in terms of what I now know is called embeddings, basically.
Yeah.
And that was, so the glossary and all that stuff was my kind of early feeble attempts to be like, okay, let me just manually scrape through a bunch of stuff and put this together. There is a script that like very naively kind of looks through all the transcripts and tries to pull out what it thinks are keywords.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very good. But that's how I generated that list of things that like auto-populates the search box or whatever. But that was just kind of to give people an idea of like the scope of what they could search for, I guess.
Yeah. Since this has turned into like a scoping call, what did you? I mean, did you? I think. Well, I mean, I can see like a Docker file in there and stuff, but was
that I never Dockerized it. Gavin started poking at that, and he pushed up something, but no, it's just pretty much it was a prototype of me using the stack that I'm most familiar with, and so I was like, whatever, I don't care, I don't want to put a lot of time into this, and so it served me for my purposes, but like obviously,
what was it? Were you just connecting like cloud functions together in like different pieces, or did you have it all in like one VPS just stood up and running everything?
Yeah, just standing up, running all the time, and it wasn't using any modern cloud anything.
Okay.
Is this project on GitHub?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Mark mentioned GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. It's an executable that's just running. It's just a little standalone server, and
Yeah. Little Windows server. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. That was the only one. I mean, I can deal with Windows environments. I don't do it very often.
I mean, to be honest, I would just, if I were you, I would just like, I don't think it would take long to rebuild what it was trying to do, but like do it in a real cloud architecture.
Yeah.
I think if you want to do that, don't even bother using what's there. Just start over.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to take it as like a big reference. The biggest key to me was like reestablishing the feature set. Like, okay, I know we're pulling transcripts from videos. Is it like all videos? Is it like going through the channels, like every single video for a particular
Oh.
channel that's listed? So it was kind of figuring some of that out, the glossary,
Gotcha.
and then
And
any
so-
other pieces that I didn't know about.
Okay, yeah. If the question is just like what are the features,
Mm-hmm.
it was scraping every video on a subset of channels, pulling just some basic metadata about them, you know, their title, link, and stuff, and then scraping the transcripts,
Yep.
indexing all that into Elastic, and then the site itself is just the splash screen that looks very much like the Google homepage, you know. And then there was a glossary which just had a static list of here's some topics that Ryan thinks are interesting, and this is Ryan's perception of what TLC is talking about.
Yeah.
And my point was to find some kind of seminal videos where people first started talking about those ideas so that people could have definitions, right?
Yeah.
Because at the time I had just gotten into all this and I was like, I don't know what we're talking about. What is going on here? I never used that glossary myself after the first couple weeks. Like I built it. I thought it was interesting for a minute and then I forgot about it because I eventually realized like that's not really what all this is about. You know?
It's a very good introduction to using the website, though. I mean, when I had for a little while, I had my Post Platonic podcast, which the goal was to drive people to the website, to thislittlecorner.com. It was kind of like, okay, these are things we talk about, and my hope was eventually that it would have become a thing where we're like, hey, you want to know what we're about? Go look at this search engine. And in terms of definition of like, okay, these are the actual channels which are part of, you know, this discussion. Now, I don't know how exactly, like, do you include or not include Joe Rogan? I don't know about
Well,
that.
I ran into that early on with a number of channels where like I felt weird including even like Peterson. But people wanted to search that stuff so much that I'm like, well, I got to include Peterson, you know? But like, yeah, Rogan or even Jay Dyer, like all kinds of people. I mean, like what are the boundaries for this? And I quickly kind of realized that like my mental model of how the world works was completely broken because I was thinking in very discrete terms and trying to create something that was very discrete and, you know, but it's also inevitable. You can't just map the whole world either.
Right.
Well, that's part of why I think it's such a valuable project. It gives us definition. And one channel specific thing. My channel has a lot of Hebrew in it, which causes lots of problems searching it.
Yeah, because
Makes
YouTube
sense.
tries to transcribe everything as, you know, like if they detect that you're speaking in English, then it's like English phonetic everything.
Right, and trying to, especially once we start like throwing Yiddishisms and Hebrew words in the middle of, I think my channel getting indexed is probably one of the hardest ones, if not the hardest one.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it'll insert a little subtitle that says like music when you're trying to speak stuff, which I think is really funny.
Okay.
I think all that makes sense. Do you have a ballpark of how many channels you had brought into it? And maybe that's like in some static file that I could actually just
Yeah, it's a static file somewhere. It's 20 or 25-ish, I think.
25. Okay, got it.
And pretty much the way the indexer worked is it would just scrape the most recent like 100 videos or whatever, and it would just start indexing those. And when it got to a few in a row that it had already indexed, it would just stop
Okay.
and then move on. And so the indexing would not take very long. The main issue I ran into with that was I couldn't automate that entirely. Like I was running all this on AWS, just like an AWS like Windows virtual machine, and like as soon as YouTube detected traffic coming from AWS that looked automated, it like blocked me for a few hours, that sort of thing, you know. So like
True story.
I couldn't do that in an automated sense. I had to like run it from my laptop where it saw my personal like cookies and stuff and thought I was real, you know?
Yeah.
Because they've exposed a lot of their API through like legitimate like, you know, ways that they find tolerable, but not the transcripts.
Mm.
And part of it is because that data is so extremely valuable, and they're doing their own versions of this kind of stuff internally, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably do like levels of locking that down, sort of like Instagram did with their photo reels, where they made it harder and harder to access the photos over time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I think all that makes sense. That filled in some gaps for me. So, you know, Jacob, no promises on how far I get with this, but I feel like fairly motivated to it.
Look, and Mark brought up the fact that we've tried to do projects before. The fact is, the other part, one of the reasons Joey ended up leaving was there was a different project to try to do, like get all of our really intelligent computer guys to work on something. We were trying to get an app, and. I mean, I personally view the incapacity of this community to make things like this work, like as my biggest thing.
Well, and I think part of that is probably like everyone is coming at this with their own perception of what this is and what they want, and like even in an organization where everyone is agreed on exactly what should be built, it's still hard to build things.
That's
Yeah.
because you need
it's that much
hierarchy
harder
and
when-
leadership,
Yeah.
right? And you guys, I want it to be absolutely clear. You guys are pulling your part. It's everybody else who's supposed to be doing the other things, including leadership and vision, who are completely failing you in doing what we need to do, including paying for whatever resources you guys need.
Yeah,
But-
man,
You shouldn't have to pay for it.
you know, back in my deep leftist days, you know, it was really important to, especially within the Occupy movement stuff, to not have any leaders, right? So there's like no hierarchy, flat everything. And so the only way to function, that like the way that I was able to be effective in those spaces was there was also the anarchy side of that believed in autonomous action, right? It's just like, just do it. Just do it. Like, you don't need consensus. You don't need to build committees. You don't need a general assembly. You don't need to take a vote. If you want to do a thing, just do it. And then if other people want to do it with you, they'll come along, right? And I think for better or worse, we're you know, fortunately or unfortunately closer to that environment for this kind of thing than than other ones. Like, there's just no binding means to set a hierarchy. But you know, what are they gonna do?
I am aspiring to better than that, and frankly, when I saw that you were stepping up, Michael, it was like, okay, I pointed to something that needed to be done, and somebody is actually paying attention, which made me feel like, okay, maybe I haven't spent thousands of hours wasting people's my own and everyone else's time. Okay, the Maimonides stream is starting, so I am going to end this stream. Everybody can go listen to Maimonides with Chazi and Ben, and